The right to protest is enshrined in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. In theory, it is the fundamental pillar of democracy added by our founding fathers as a way to protect our ability as citizens to challenge authority, seek redress for mistakes made, promote civic engagement, and prevent government overreach. In practice, though, history has shown us that those in power are almost always hostile to protests. Why? Because protesting is an act of resistance, and power doesn't welcome resistance. To protest is to disrupt, to challenge, and to push back against the status quo, whether it's civil rights, labor rights, or against a war. Protest exists because those in power are not willingly making the changes demanded by the people. If everything was fine, if leaders were doing the right thing, and people felt like they were being listened to, there would be no need for anyone to protest in the first place. Elected or not, leadership likes stability and control. They like the status quo. Protests, by their very nature, introduce instability and force a confrontation between leadership and those they represent. This is why the response to protest is often suppression, whether through force, legal maneuvers, or attempting to discredit the movement altogether. Let's look at American history. The civil rights movement saw peaceful demonstrators beaten, jailed, and even assassinated for demanding basic human rights. Anti-war protesters during the Vietnam era were met with police batons, tear gas, and even deadly force, as seen in the Kent State massacre. More recently, the Black Lives Matter and Free Palestine movements faced police responses, mass arrests, and legislative attempts to criminalize demonstrations. These examples are not exceptions, they are the rule. The state does not embrace protest, it tolerates it, even when convenient, and attempts to crush it when it feels like it's become too effective. The First Amendment protects the right to assemble, but those in power dictate those conditions, which is why you hear them focus on whether or not it was a peaceful protest. Permits, free speech zones, police presence, and media are all used to control movements. The moment a protest gains too much momentum, threatens real change, or exposes uncomfortable truths, the response is often swift and decisive. Protesters are labeled as agitators, radicals, or even domestic threats. The irony is, when you look at who we have often supported in our stories, they are the rebels. Those who resist those in power. Star Wars, Hunger Games, Braveheart, Ferris Bueller, The Last Samurai, Spartacus, The Patriot, 1984. Hell, even the Avengers ended up becoming rebels. To believe our leaders support our right to protest is to misunderstand the fundamental nature of power. While they may claim to uphold democratic ideals, and in their hearts they very well might, their actions often tell a different story. Protests are tolerated only to the extent that they do not challenge power in a way that demands real accountability or change. The question then is not whether we have the right to protest, but whether we are willing to exercise it despite the resistance we will inevitably face. I'm not going to tell you whether or not something is worthy of protest. What I can tell you, though, is history teaches us one undeniable truth. The most important protests are always the ones people in power try the hardest to silence.